Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We have all of you, I ask you to, first of all, be quiet a little bit and put your cell phones on mute if you could. That would be really great. We have a meeting we need to conclude before we start the council meeting. So if you bear with us for about 2 minutes, we'll start the council meeting. Please note that this is the resumption of the special meeting of the town council that started at 5 p.m. The item on the agenda is item number 4, which is resumption of our meeting. And we had 2 items, water rights and town position pending or contemplated litigation. I believe the report out of that meeting is that there's no action being taken on either item. If there's agreement with that, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second, is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Hunsetter and second by Council Member Jones
No action taken on
to report no action taken on item A and B on the agenda. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Marnie Babbitt Pierce is on Zoom. And all those opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Item 5 is adjournment of this meeting. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There's second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Jones and second by Councilmember O'Neill to adjourn this meeting at 6:00 p.m. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Clarkdale Town Council meeting on Tuesday, December 12th, 2023 at 6:01 p.m. in the Clark Memorial Clubhouse. First of all, I want to wish everybody a wonderful holiday season. This will be our final council meeting for the year, and I just wish everybody good holiday season, and we will see, I'm sure, most of us next year. So with that, let's move on to roll call. Vice Mayor Hunsetter.
Here.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Here.
Councilmember Babbitt Pierce.
Present via Zoom.
Thank you. And Councilmember Jones.
Present.
And please note that Mayor Prudhomme Bauer is here. We have a quorum. Before we start the meeting, I want to read the town of Clarkdale's vision. The town of Clarkdale connects our unique history, proximity to the Verde River, and small town charm to a future with a vibrant economy. We cultivate an environment where residents and businesses can thrive, providing services and jobs for our residents and capitalizing upon tourism. We sustainably enhance our infrastructure, support the arts and education, and develop recreational opportunities to create a bright future for our entire community. With that, let's move on to item 3, and we have the pleasure this evening to do swearing in of a new officer in the town of Clarkdale.
We ran into Mark and Rosebud on the way over here. He had taken it down.
Officer, is everybody muted?
I just muted.
Okay, thank you. Where's our officer? There he is. He's hiding behind the post. Officer, I'm going to try this. Gabison Poison? Poison? Close enough.
Tell us what it really is.
Denton Wall.
Oh, got it. Are you ready? Do you want to come up? Okay. You could raise your right hand and just repeat after me. I, Gavison Goswam,
I Denton Wall.
solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States of America and the laws of the state of Arizona, I pledge to follow the regulations and directives
I pledge to follow the
regulations and directives
I pledge to follow the regulations and directives
of the town of Clarkdale and the Clarkdale Police Department.
of Clarkdale, Federal Police Department.
I pledge to support and implement
I pledge to support and implement
the mission of the department
the mission of the department.
and act within the values of the department.
Acting with the department.
I pledge to faithfully perform the duties
I pledge to perform the duties
of the office of the police officer.
of the police officer.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
This goes to charity.
We have treats.
We have treats in that. Oh, my gosh. And just to not acknowledge a few other officers in the room, could you please come forward, Police Chief? Bring your crew up forward so we can just recognize who's here as part of the team. I usually don't do this, so I just put them on notice real quick. We have Officer Jordan Taylor, we have Officer Derek, I just call him Derek, we have Officer Lieutenant Joe, and we have Chief Randy Taylor. Just a part of our group, but they're here tonight to celebrate our new officer coming on board. Thank you for coming here. All I ask is the group in the back, you get to be a little quiet also, officers. With that, let's move on to public comment. This is the time for members of the public may give comment of a general nature. No official action may be taken by the council during this time unless it is to direct staff to look into a matter. Public comments will be limited to 5 minutes. I see we probably have several people who want to speak tonight. I will be timing your comments. So if I ask you to sit down, understand you came to your 5 minutes. I ask you to state your name and where you live. You do not have to give your address, just if you live in Clarkdale or Cottonwood or wherever. Okay, is that pretty clear? Thank you. So I ask us to keep this moving on. We're listening intently. We want to hear what you have to say. So a few people, I think I have one person who signed in, so I'm going to let her come up first because she sent this in, Diane Snyder.
Good evening, Diane Schneider, Clarkdale. Normally, when I speak at any council meeting, I usually come prepared with a speech. I didn't tonight, so I'll just speak freely. The topic is the Cottonwood Airport. A brief history. Starting, let's say 2018, there began to be some public complaint about the aircraft noise, namely with the Embry-Riddle's touch and goes. It led to nowhere. Some of them just moved away. I'll bring it up to present 5 years ago when my husband and I bought our lot in Crossroads at Mingus. The real estate agent only told us that there was an airport nearby. Now, 2 years later, when we go to build, we're doing it during the COVID epidemic. There weren't any planes flying. And actually, when the real estate agent mentioned the airport, I said, well, it's not like Sky Harbor. We're okay hearing a plane once in a while. No big deal. When we moved into our house 3 years ago, it was unbelievable the amount of aircraft noise we were hearing. I thought there was an air show. A couple of days later, a neighbor knocks on my door. We couldn't talk outside. I invited her in. She was filling me in about Embry-Riddle. I'm like, Embry who? I knew nothing, but I came to educate myself rather quickly. My worry was a few months after that, I attended the big meeting at the rec center where they talked about the airport expansion. I thought, well, there goes more property value. You want to expand, you want to add more to this aircraft noise. So since then, I became involved in the group. A lot of the group moved away, left me, and I still went to the meetings because I wanted to know what was really going on and what was going to continue to go on with their master plan. Well, presently, they did get their FAA money, ADOT money, and a lot of money from the city of Cottonwood. They want to expand, lengthen, strengthen, widen their runway, amongst other things. Currently, we have Embry-Riddle, we have another airplane training, pilot training people. We did have a helicopter tour company, they're now bankrupt. There's more on the horizon. There's currently a wait list of 58 who want to hang and tie down their aircraft. It's going to get worse.
You're saying 58 at Cottonwood. Is that?
At the Cottonwood Airport, there's currently people that have aircraft that want to now hang or tie down their airplanes.
Thank you.
I don't know how many are going to be small jets. Embry-Riddle may even want to use more of the Cottonwood Airport to conduct their touch and goes. There's two parts of the Embry-Riddle. You have your educational techs from the university, then you have Parker Northrop that does the flight instruction. We wish that they would use the other airports nearby, Baghdad, Williamsburg, Sellenberg, there might even be another one. So we're trying to find out, our goal is to lessen some of the aircraft noise. We haven't been successful yet. We keep hearing some non-answers to our questions. But we hope that you can be of help to us, because Clarkdale is definitely in the flight path noise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who else would like to come up and speak? Just give it to her, or you can give it straight to me. It doesn't matter.
Okay, my name is Joe Bob Grisham. I live in Pine Shadows in Cottonwood, directly under the flight path. We too moved to Cottonwood to start a new life in a really nice small community, and found out about the airport the hard way. Since then, we've been working tirelessly. My girlfriend Carla has been working tirelessly to put together a new strategy, if you will, a way to organize this with like-minded people and try to approach at some point, once we get all of our ducks in a row and everything organized. We're getting information together right now. That's our biggest thing, is getting information together. Diane's been a great help with that, because she has been at ground zero for a long time. What we're coming here for is to hopefully get all of you on board with us, because we're all in this together. This is not just a noise problem, it's also an air pollution problem. It's going to cause problems. Is the more airplanes we have in our air, the more that's going to happen. The more air, the more we're going to have. So what we're hoping is that we can get you guys on board with us, so that we can get numbers up. We've got quite a group here. Stand up, guys. This is a small group of what we had just last week. We had over about 40-some people show up at Pine Shadows to start this new group. We have a lot of others that haven't been able to make the meetings, but are in contact with us. Right now, we're over 60 plus that are actively speaking with us right now on this new drive. And what we're hoping to do is to get Embry-Riddle to hit the other airports. There's 4 other airports within 5 minutes of this airport that they could do their touch and goes and not bother anybody, or very, very few. So that's one of our goals. And we hope to be doing that very soon. So anything you can do to jump on board with us, and I understand you tried to get on the Facebook page with the other group. We want you. We want you.
Then I'd love to be on.
Good.
I want to know information. I need to
Yes.
hear the dialogue. And you know that Councilmember Jones
Mhm.
attended the meeting, so this is an issue of interest.
Good, because we would love to have all of you on the board with us, and see what we can do about getting this taken care of. We're not looking to shut down the airport. We're just looking at getting them to be a little less abusive over our airspace, especially when there's 4 other airports in the area that they can hit and not bother hardly anyone. Okay?
I
Thank you very
appreciate,
much.
thank you very
Thank you.
much. Somebody else who would like to speak, yes.
Good evening. My name is Art Alfaro. I just moved to Mountain Gate, Clarkdale, in March of this year. And all this activity is new. And this is my first meeting here. And I attended the meeting on Saturday. And our main goal is for us to gather all the facts. We don't want to show you emotional. We just want to say, these are the facts. And here's the proof. Here's, because we want to get it down in writing, get it logically, and then distribute it, and then get support to back that up. So we're just here basically introducing ourselves. Hey, there's a lot of people that attended the meeting from Clarkdale, Mountain Gate, and other social associations. But just want you to know who we're here, and we want to work with you, and we're going to give you just facts and information, and then hopefully all of us can work together to come up with some sort of compromise.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to speak? Come on up.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all tonight. My name is Steve Ashcroft. I'm here with my wife, Beth. We live in the Palisades neighborhood here in Clarkdale. We also are directly under the flight path. And when I say directly under it, we live on halfway up one of the hills in the Palisades neighborhoods, and they turn above our house to go back down. So I just wanted to kind of give you some context of the frequency of these flights. We've owned our property since 2006. There were flights out of the airport, but nothing unusual and nothing to be concerned about. It's gotten so bad now that my wife and I will be sitting outside during the day beside each other in chairs. And when the planes come over or they're taking off and they're full engine speed to get up to height, we have to stop talking. We literally cannot hear one another. The frequency of these flights has gotten to be, I'm an early riser, so I'm up before it gets light. I sit in my recliner and have my coffee. And I'm looking directly south toward the airport. Just after 7 o'clock every day, the first plane will take off. And successively, for the rest of the day, they come out, and as they're turning above our house, another one's taking them. And as that one gets to our house, another one's taking them. And then I can see them coming back around and landing at the airport. So anytime during the day, there's either 3 or 4 planes in that racetrack, just going around, touching down, taking off, around, touching, until 6 o'clock at night. This time of year, 6 o'clock at night. It's frequent. And I'm not a person to complain about such things, but it's gotten so that it really has become an issue. So we want to just make sure that you're aware of the issue. It is an issue for those of us that are under that flight path. Those lying outside of that flight path might, what do you mean? I don't hear any airplanes anytime, but it's a lot. And so thank you for the opportunity to let you know that. And hopefully we'll have a discussion and a relationship going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to speak? Come on up.
Good evening. Thank you for your time and thank you for your listening. My name is John Jones and I live in Mountain Gate. I'm directly under the flight path. My wife Sue is here. We moved into Mountain Gate a year and a half ago after waiting a year and a half for Mandalay to get our home built. And I can tell you from when we first moved in until now, the flight frequency has increased dramatically, to the point where using our backyard with the beautiful view is pointless all day long. A little background on myself. I was in the Navy, I was a radar man and an air intercept controller. I know a little bit about flight operations and flight plans, and I can tell you that Cottonwood and their airport are on purpose abusing Clarkdale. Tradition is in a plane, you take off into the wind and land the other way. They do circles. I have a flag in our backyard the prevailing wind here is from the south, and yet they take off to the north on their touch and goes all the time, simply because the noisiest part of the flight is on takeoff. When they circle around to land, when they're going over Cottonwood, by the way, they can barely hear those planes. Every time they touch down and take off again, they give max acceleration. All the noise comes right over Clarkdale, and then they loop around and they're nice and quiet going over Cottonwood when they land at the airport. They're only doing that because your constituents are being abused while theirs are not. I was introduced to a flight app on the phone called Flight Radar 24. This week, I have taken screenshots, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. There are 6 Embry-Riddle planes in flight, circling, doing touch and goes. Meanwhile, you can zoom right on over to Seligman where there's an airport. There are no planes to be found. Then I zoomed right over to Baghdad Airport, which they could also use. There are no planes to be found. And oh, by the way, they're not even doing touch and goes in Prescott at their home airport. They do them here. And every time they do them, they on purpose take off and put all the noise over Clarkdale. So we're imploring your help, because as individuals, we can raise the concern and we're just not going to get any attention. But if we can get you, and we'll give you all the facts and figures that you need, I believe at least we stand a chance of getting some assistance and maybe some relief. Thank you very much. We appreciate your help.
Thank you very much for speaking. Yes, come on up.
Hi, I'm Carla Hill. Probably seen my name. You'll probably see a lot more because I think I sent you the email, Laura the email. And I just want you to personally know that we didn't kick you off of the group. We have an admin that didn't want it, but we weren't given any choices, and I just want to personally tell you that.
Somehow he and I are not on the same page.
Well, we will
For some
welcome you.
reason.
We'll welcome you on our group. We're gonna be getting a new one started, it looks like,
Okay.
one that maybe won't be so
Okay.
divisive. And hopefully we can all work together. I did want to point out one thing, so I forget, the first meeting we had probably 13 people, I think, or 12. 2 of those people were from Cottonwood. Everybody else that came was from Clarkdale. So this time, when I checked our sign-in sheets, we're up to about half and half. So we had close to 40 people, and a lot of them were from Pine Shadows, but anyway, so thanks for listening.
And Carla, what's your last name?
Hill. H-I-L-L.
And where do you live? Oh, what?
Pine Shadows.
Pine Shadows, thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Nice to meet you in person. Anybody else wish to speak? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Leslie Evans from Clarkdale on Palisades, and I'm not gonna elaborate. I mean, everything everybody has said 150%, but I just wanted to offer to you, if you're interested, I also have been tracking the flights, and I have every day since November 30th, I believe, a screenshot from the Flight 24 app that shows the activity in Clarkdale versus the other 4 airports. And when we say the 4 airports, we didn't just come by that randomly. I and some other people also have sent complaints to Embry-Riddle, and Embry-Riddle claims, and I have it in an email also I can provide, that they use Seligman, Wickenburg, Baghdad, Williams, just as much as they do Cottonwood. And based on what I've been tracking, that's not the case. So anyways, I just wanted to say that I do have all of this paper if anybody's interested and wants to take a look at it. And I also have the flight times, I did my citizen science. and went on the internet to determine flight times between Prescott and each of the various airports, just to try and figure out why in the heck are they always using our airport? And the flight times from point A to point B go from 35 minutes to 37 minutes.
So they're within a range.
So it's nominal. I mean, even if we said it takes 45 minutes, it's all within that range. So anyways, I just wanted to say I have all this if anybody's interested.
Well, we can take it here at Town Hall. Also make sure you're sharing, and we'll share it with Laura, who's on the committee also, and any relevant information. First of all, I love citizen scientists. They're wonderful. They see things that sometimes the rest of us don't see. And just to give a perspective right now, I live on the west side of 89A, over by Mescal Spur Crossroads. Okay, so just give a perspective that I am not as impacted, but I do hear them just like you do. Not as the same level, but the numbers, yes. Anybody else wish to speak? Come on up.
We do have one online as well.
One online as well, okay. We'll take that one next and then come back to the audience if that's okay.
Hello, my name is Debbie McNally, and I live in Mountain Gate. I lived there, my husband and I, for about the past 3 years. And the first 2.5 years were great. It was just regular air traffic every now and again. We would see the Embry-Riddle maybe go over. We didn't know it was a flight school near here. We were never told that there was any airplane problem. Anyway, for me, I first started noticing it in May. I don't know what happened. Actually, it was May 18th to be exact. I actually called the police because I thought, oh my God, what's going on? Is there like a war or something starting out there? But I just basically wanted to say that's when I think the real problem started. So whatever happened in May has just increased more and more. So that's been like 7 months of constant. I think I even called you.
Pardon me?
I think I even called you at one point.
I think
with
you
my
did. I believe you
concerns.
did.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
So, and like I said, it's not like we're against air traffic, but it truly is like an assault on our, enjoying our property, to the point where I've even felt like I want to move. Several people have expressed that. I know one lady said that she couldn't really sell her house during a showing. It was like being bombarded and the people asked about it. So, I think our property values also are depreciating because of this. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to meet you in person.
Yes.
Why don't we go to the person online who wants to speak, and if you can state your name and where you live. Welcome.
Mary Lou, you'll have to unmute yourself on your end, please.
Hello, are you there?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, I'm so sorry. My name is Mary Lou Rose. I live in Mountain Gate. We moved in June of 2022. And I just wanted to read what I've already sent to Cottonwood and Susan Mayor Clarkdale, because I want it on public record. I'm concerned with the ongoing use of leaded aviation gas over our town, particularly in relation to the low altitude touch and go flights conducted by flight schools, notably private university Embry-Riddle and other flight operations. Embry-Riddle is based in Prescott, but the private university, which they are, moved a significant portion of their flight training to Cottonwood. The EPA recently determined lead emissions from aircraft cause or contribute to air pollution in October of 2023. The EPA explicitly states there is no evidence of a threshold below which lead exposure has no harmful effects on cognition. Given the diverse population in Clarkdale, including Hispanic and Native American children, it is essential we prioritize their health and safety. Our Clarkdale community has about 5,000 people. We have an elementary school of 475 students, numerous public playgrounds, recreational areas, trails, Suzy Goot National Monument. The flight school activities, particularly the low altitude flights over the Verde River, parts of which have been designated wild and scenic, concern me. The residents of Clarkdale had no input into the decision of private university Embry-Riddle to increase flight school touch and go operations. Please urge Embry-Riddle and the city of Cottonwood to take necessary actions to protect our airspace, health, and quality of life. I kindly request you review the daily flight school patterns over our community. I sent this information directly to the Mayor of Clarkdale and the city of Cottonwood. I did not get an acknowledgement or reply from either. I am speaking today, so there is a record of both Cottonwood and Clarkdale being put on notice of the health hazards of allowing this constant low-level flight training by Embry-Riddle and other flight schools. I and others have made numerous complaints to the city of Cottonwood Airport. I do believe there's a conflict of interest in having Mr. Tripp handle the complaint because he's an alumni of Embry-Riddle. We all remember Flint, Michigan, and how the authorities didn't take any action for years correcting the toxic water situation. You are now on notice of this health hazard from leaded aviation gas published by the EPA, and I look forward to your attention to this matter and hope we can do something to safeguard the well-being of the residents of Clarkdale and Cottonwood. I really thank you for your time. I had sent this by an email, but I wanted it as public record as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments. I'll continue on in the room. Anybody else wish to speak, please come up.
Hi, thank you. I'm Christine Nestline. I live over in Pine Shadows. I first moved there about 1.5 years ago. And I will tell you that where I lived, right over the flight, my skylights would dim. They were so low when they would fly over. And it was just so unbearably loud that, you know, like some other people have said, you can't go outside and enjoy your view if you have a view or the environment. I did recently move to another place in Pine Shadows, which is just a little bit further into the community. The decibels are less, but I mean, I was kind of just lazing around in bed around 7 o'clock this morning and boom, it starts. And they're like every 3 minutes. It's, when we say there's a lot of traffic, every 3 to 5 minutes, man, they're going, another one. It's not like, for me, it's not, I don't notice that every day or all day long. I think there might be times during the day that it's not so bad, but you know, in the morning during the summer when you want to be outside and have your coffee and enjoy, not going to happen. Anyway, I really appreciate you all being here.
Thank you for speaking. Anybody else wish to speak? Yes, come on up, please.
My name is David Evans. I also live in Clarkdale on Palisades. I just wanted to mention 2 other things that I know. One is a fact because we were at the airport meeting, which was last Tuesday or Wednesday. One of the commissioners asked Mr. Tripp, who is the manager of the airport, some statistics. And one of the statistics that he asked that Mr. Tripp had, and he has a whole binder full of pie charts and everything else. He asked him what number of aircraft that are using the Cottonwood Airport are housed in Cottonwood, and how many are transient, which transient means outside aircraft.
Yeah.
And he told him that the home amount of aircraft was around 5,000 that was using the airport to go to and fro wherever, but the transient amount was 36,000. And out of that 36,000, I don't believe he gave a number, but he said that's pretty much, it was like 85 to 15% was transient, and of the transient was mostly Embry-Riddle.
Could you say that again, please?
85% transient, 50% home base. And he did say that 85%, the majority of them are Embry-Riddle and other flight schools. So that's a pretty big, because I know on days when the weather's bad or I think we were blessed on Thanksgiving for no Embry-Riddle schools in session, but I mean, it was like beautiful. You can go outside, sit. We put in a new backyard and we go out to work and sit with our dogs, and you can only take it for just a few minutes, and you're like, well, let's go back in the house and turn the stereo on again. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is I did go, this was probably beginning of the month of December, when we were barraged on a Sunday morning, and I just couldn't take it. And I believe there was 5 planes. There's 4 Embry-Riddles and 1 outside, which seems like we're getting more and more outside schools also to join in with the party. Anyway, I stood in my backyard and I took out my phone and I just recorded 5 minutes worth of plane noise. And I have it on tape, and I've sworn that I'm going to come to one of these meetings, and when they have the 5-minute thing, is I'm just going to hold it up to the microphone, especially in Cottonwood, and just let that play so they can kind of hear. Because unless you live right under the flight path, you can't understand that you cannot have a conversation. You have to tell people on the phone, hold on, a plane's going over. And we've been here since 2019 is when we moved in, and we have noticed the big uptick since about a year and a half ago. All right.
You
Thank
might make sure that the committee hears that, and our member on that committee, and if you want to email that to us, you're welcome to email that out
Okay.
to us.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. We've heard a lot tonight. I appreciate everybody's comments. As I said, we can't speak directly to it because this is under public comment. But just know that we are as involved and concerned as we can be. We have spoken to FAA, we've written to them and stuff, so they are aware of our concerns. Now I think it's in the hands of collectively everybody working together to figure out how we work on this. And so I look forward to the strategies. Please share any information you want with us. That's very important, is that we have information and make sure it's factual. Factual information is very important. So we do get the minutes of the airport commission meeting. Do we not, Susan?
We haven't been, but I can request them. And then just as a reminder, we were recently contacted by Cottonwood. They put together a group to look at these issues, and we appointed Councilmember Jones to sit on that group. And I believe there also are going to be a couple of spaces for residents to join that group as well, correct?
Yes, there should be.
There should be.
Yep, that's what the outline says.
Yeah. Before we close public comment, and again, I really do appreciate all of you coming here tonight. I do want to, I'm not going to read all of this, but put it in the record from another gentleman who lives on Ashley View Drive, Ernest Carrillo, raising many of the same concerns that all of you have. And he's lived here in the valley all of his life. And where he lives now, which is in the Tusagoop Mesa area on Ashley View, he's lived there 15 years. So he has seen a dramatic increase that has affected his health as a Vietnam vet and his mother's health for Alzheimer and dementia when the noise affects that. So I just want to make sure that we put this into public record, Charity. And I'll hand it back to her. So if there's no other comment, remember, you're always welcome to come back to us. Keep the dialogue open. I look forward to being allowed to be in the Facebook group again. Now, understand, I will not comment, but I just want to keep abreast of what's going on. So you will know I'm there. Is there anything else anybody else needs to say? I think we've said it all. Oh,
I
Laura.
just want to thank everybody for coming and for being so representing the issues so clearly. And so thank you all for being here.
Marnie, do you wish to say anything? No. Okay. Anybody else wish to say anything? With that, thank you all. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. We got other good stuff we're talking about. But we need to move on, and thank you all so much for coming this evening.
Thank you.
Let them clear and we'll move on here. Okay, if it looks like I'm moving around, I have a back that is like not happy to me, so.
Are you squirting around?
And my chiropractor is out with COVID, so that's like. Anyhow, let's move on. Thank you all to reports. Next item on the agenda are reports that include current events, organizational reports, and monthly finance report. Current events of the mayor, vice mayor, council members were submitted as part of the council packet. You're welcome to go online and review all of those reports.
I think.
Organizational reports, Cottonwood Area Transit, Marnie.
And John got up. Yeah.
There was no meeting.
John got up too. Instead, you know, Davey, I know a little bit. You know.
Marnie, you need to unmute.
I'm sorry, there's someone else unmuted. I was speaking.
Okay.
Cottonwood Area Transit did not meet.
Okay, thank you. VVTPO, the Verde Valley Transportation Planning Organization.
Our December meeting has been canceled.
Okay. NACOG, Northern Arizona Council of Governments.
We had our executive committee meeting on 12/7. We went into executive session, so that can't be discussed. But we also did discuss that we're going to have a joint legislative session on January 18th. So we're going down the day before to have our executive committee for January that day.
So you're going to meet them down there?
And we're going to meet at the League of Cities and Towns location.
Great. Okay. NAMWA, Northern Arizona Municipal Water Users Association.
No meeting.
Okay. Transportation Policy Advisory Council, Marnie.
Our December meeting has been canceled.
Okay, thank you. Verde Front Leadership Council, we held our quarterly meeting on December 7th. Town Manager Guthrie attended with me, reviewed the proposed strategic plan and made some suggestions that will on some of the language and focus. And will be a small group of us, and I understand I'm part of that group. We'll be finalizing it before the end of the month. As soon as we have it available, I will share with all of you. I think you will see better clarity from what Verde Front is doing. Susan, do you wish to add anything?
No, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay. Greater Arizona Mayors Association. After our meeting, we had a meeting last week. It was last minute for me, but I was able to attend with two of our representatives from LD1, Selena Bliss and Ken Bennett. The objective is to work closer with, to build a closer relationship with these representatives. As we saw last year, we had a good start with that. We think we can do more. I think it was a fruitful discussion. We talked about several issues, potential rural water legislation, housing, short-term rentals, state shared revenues, which we all know is a concern. It was a really good meeting. The intent is for the Greater Arizona Mayors Group to do that with every legislative district. So it's a way to raise our issues and have a discussion and see how we can help them. For our legislators, they need experts in all of these areas because they have no staff. So, you know, they asked us to bring forward experts in housing or water and stuff like that, so it helps educate them. So I think that was the best outcome, was really, really that. Would you agree, Susan?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure when the next Zoom is. They'll catch me off guard again. But we keep it to 1 hour, 1.5 hours, so it was very good. Sustaining Flows Committee, Laura.
The committee hasn't met as a committee, but there have been 2 webinars the last 2 days. Yesterday's was about really a primer on the distinction between groundwater and surface water in Arizona and how those 2 things are legally 2 different things. And the impact that has in general. It was really just a good general overview of that concept for people to know. And then today's discussion was really about the Gila River adjudication. And the Yavapai Apache Nation is working towards their settlement for water, which will be impactful for the whole Verde Valley. And the importance of people registering their wells and doing their, what is that term, Susan? I'm gonna get it wrong.
Statement of
Statement of claim in if they have a well. And so I think we're gonna do a little more shout out to the community to make sure that people here have their wells registered, because we were told in this that people are getting notices and they're ignoring them and they're not following through. And the risk is that people will lose on paper their water rights and then potentially actually lose their water rights. So it is really important for anybody in the community here that has a well to make sure they do that statement of claim. So we'll do a little more education in the community around that. I think that those are the 2 big
It was a good meeting today.
It
I
was.
learned a few key things. That was very good. Yavapai Communities for Young Children, Marnie.
We meet quarterly, so we'll meet again in the new year.
That's right. Thank you so much. That's the reports from all of the council members. Finance report was in our packet. Revenue picture looks solid as we go into the budget year. I don't think our finance director raised any major concerns or issues. I think the unknown for us as we go into budget is going to be state shared revenues. And if the state of Arizona wants to claw back any appropriations they gave to municipalities over the last, and others over the last year to meet their budget deficit, which is debated hotly right now. I think we're around, I've heard 800 million.
Yeah, I've heard between 500 and
800, so we're not sure what that means yet, so. Okay, but good finance report. Thank her for a good report. Consent agenda, we have 4 items on consent this evening. Get down to them. I believe one of the items we are going to pull from the consent agenda item, consent agenda. So if it's your pleasure, I would like to pull item B, the Southwest Wine Center liquor license application, series 18 in craft distiller item, if that's okay. And I ask that Councilmember Babbitt Pierce acknowledge that she is going to recuse herself from this item only.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So it's noted that she will recuse from this item. So we will take consent agenda items A, C, and D. A being the minutes of the draft minutes of our November 14th meeting. C being ordinance 423, amendment to the Clarkdale Town Code, Article 241, council procedure, regular meetings, just some minor or major changes, minor changes, I believe. And D, a strategic alliance for volume expenditures cooperative purchasing agreement. So these are the 3 items on consent. Does any council member wish to pull any of those for discussion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I move that we approve consent agenda items A, C, and D
Okay.
as written.
As written. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Mayor Hunsetter and Councilmember Jones to approve consent agenda items A, C, and D as presented. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Marnie, you can vote on this.
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not hear you. Sorry. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you. Let's go back to item C, which is Southwest Wine Center liquor license application. B, excuse me. Discussion, it's open for discussion. Any comments on this item?
No comments. I'll make a motion that we approve Southwest Wine Center liquor license application, Series 18, in-state craft distiller license.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Mayor Hunsetter and seconded by Councilmember O'Neill to approve a consent agenda item B, Southwest Wine Center liquor license application, Series 18, in-state craft distiller. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, and please note that Councilmember Babbitt Pierce has recused herself on this one. Motion carries. Okay, new business. This, our next item is cellular water meters. This is a discussion only item regarding the possible opt-out policy and related fees regarding cellular water meters. And I believe Virginia is going to present this one. Welcome, Virginia.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, council members, audience. As we near our WIPA Water Conservation Grant Fund expenditures, we're starting to look at getting bids and moving into cellular for all of our meters. There is some discussion about whether we will have an opt-out program. If you will be able to choose whether or not you have a cellular meter. Some towns do allow it and have associated surcharges. Some towns do not allow it without any exceptions. And so staff is looking for guidance as to what council believes the town should move toward.
And if we accept it, what is kind of your dollar amount you're looking at for this?
Surcharges, just based on pure man-hour, labor costs, equipment costs, the additional work effort that is going to have to be expended for running essentially two different antenna systems. Initial fees for when you opt out would be at least $50. That would cover us going out, changing the meter antenna, and then doing all of the data recording, and then also making that same change back once that occupant leaves. Okay. There would also have to be a monthly fee, because instead of the cellular being just collected through the waves and the internet, we would still have to at least drive out, if not get the radio read, then get a manual read where we open the lid and look at the numbers to get the reads. So there would be a monthly surcharge attached to it. Likely it would be at least $15 a month.
Okay. How many people do you think, I know we've heard from a couple of people, so.
I have seen Facebook posts from a few, but the office itself has not received any complaints or questions.
Okay.
I have them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have received a couple of emails from people who are interested in the opt-out.
Okay, so it's a handful, would you say?
So far two.
Okay. Okay. Other questions for Virginia or Susan? Yes, Lisa and then Laura.
The $50, would that be a one-time fee or ongoing?
One time, when you set it up, your opt-out, you would be charged the $50, and that would cover both ends of it. That way you don't have any lingering effects when you move out.
Thank you.
Okay. Laura.
Would this, as we're converting to the new meters, would we be saying to people, if you don't want one of these meters, fill out this opt-out form? I mean, I don't know.
That's really where we're looking for guidance is what type of policy do we want to offer, and how do we want to present that? Do we want to present it up front before we go out and install all these meters, or do we want to do it on the back end? Right now, when I install a cellular meter, we send a paper notice that states you have a cellular meter, this is how you work it, this is how you log in, so you can see your data and set your own leak alerts, and please call our office if you have any difficulties setting it up.
Just so you know, the feedback I got on the installation of a cellular meter from somebody was fabulous. They were like, they were so good. They just came in and they did it and they were gone.
Wonderful.
Just FYI.
Marnie,
Of the ones that have already been installed, have you had any of those folks ask to opt out or ask for anything post them being installed?
No, we have 176 and I have not heard any negative feedback. I have had probably 5 to 10 people come back to the office and tell me how wonderful they are and how thankful they are. Most of those meters, though, keep in mind, are being put in place where I know there are leaks. So it's already, you know, they want to find it because they want to save money.
okay.
I have a question.
Lou, do you have something you want to say? You look like you wanted to say something. Come on up. Lou Anderson, Public Works Director.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Don't apologize.
Just one other item in that if we do have a leak, it is quite more expensive for us to go out and try to detect a leak without the cellular. So that would be an additional cost. And I think when Virginia said $50 initial and then 15 to read, that's just an estimate, and that's probably a low estimate.
Yeah.
We've seen $75 to $100 initial, and then we've also seen up to $30 for the reads, because we do have to have an individual go out to those sites. As I said, again, when we do an investigation on a water leak, it will cost, it then will cost additional fee.
So kind of the two issues we have is the opt-out policy. Do we want to do it? And if we want to do it, how do we advertise it? The third one is what do we think are reasonable fees? Again, this is just discussion, so.
I still had a question.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand the process and look down the line. So if somebody has one installed and then say somebody else moves in and wants to opt out, what's the complexity of removing that meter and opting out, or is that going to be a possibility?
Well, and so if we offer a opt-out policy, what we would do is they would pay the fee, whatever that may be. We would do a service order. The technician would have to go out, swap the antenna. That's really only thing that are changing is the antenna and how it transmits data. The meter itself remains the same. They'll give us the number back as to which parts they have swapped. It comes back to the office and we have to make that administrative change in the meter reading software so that we know where to go when it comes time to do that monthly read. And then the reverse just happens when they move out. Our staff is going to have to get trained, obviously, to recognize the differences so that when somebody moves out, we can say, oh, this is a non-cellular meter. Let's go get it back into a cellular mode until we get a new opt-out form from the new occupant. Or maybe we can just leave it cellular from now on.
Okay, and then just one other question that I have. In other cities or towns that have opt-out policies, do they allow renters to make that decision or strictly the property owner?
I have only found one opt-out policy so far, and I don't believe it addressed that particular topic, but I'd have to go back and reread it to be sure.
Because I would think it depends on who is responsible for the water bill. Would that be it? So, you know, I know there's cases where the landowner or property owner pays for it as part of rent. There are others who tell the tenant that they need to get their own service. So I think that's I think it's not one or the other.
I think it adds another layer of complexity though to the
That's the
equation.
question.
Virginia, can you just clarify really quick? I feel like at one point we had a discussion about us needing to keep, I guess, the non-cellular inventory where we normally wouldn't unless we offer the opt-out. And then in that case, we need to keep an inventory of that equipment so that in case somebody opts out, we can provide it. So I just wanted to make sure that
Okay.
I'm
We do
understanding
have
that.
opt-out. We will have to keep those additional different type of antennas in stock for,
And am I correct? So currently our meters are read by radio wave?
correct. It's a antenna that's on our trucks that we drive around.
So the enhancement to this particular solution is gonna be the leak detection element of it,
It very much is the driving force of it.
which is very good for the community and the water company as a whole to have this additional oversight available.
Yeah, would think so,
But
because,
also that we won't have to drive around
Yeah,
any
I was
longer.
gonna
The
say.
new meters, the data will come to the office.
Oh.
And that's great for, our staff who do that, plus they fix leaks and other things. So we would, kind of repurpose those staff to just focus on those other duties.
there's plenty of work for them to
Plenty of
do
work.
without reading meters.
Oh.
We know that. So in a small staff, everybody's sort of cross-trained in everything, so.
And I think Lou brought up the issue of when there is a problem and they're not on cellular. If they're on cellular, Virginia can bring up the data right there in the office, determine if there's a leak, probably when it's happening, how. But then if they are not on cellular, we're gonna have to send somebody out there to do data retrieval.
Multiple times usually. It usually takes us 3 or 4 times to nail down what's going on. The first time we'll go out before we even tell them if they have a leak to give them idea of how extensive it is. And then once they accept that they have something going on, oh, well, I fixed my toilet, can you come check? Okay, so we'll go back out and we'll check it again. Oh, that wasn't it. Okay, well, let me get a leak detection agency. Okay, they got that, they figured it out, they got a plumber, they fixed it. Okay, now we're out there for a 3rd time, 4th time. And all of that is our operators going out to the meter, taking the data and bringing it back to the office. So that's a half-hour. Then I have admin staff that has to go through that spreadsheet to figure out what is going on and look at those patterns to see and figure it out, and then call the customer and discuss it with them. If they don't believe us, there's many times where our operators have to go back out on site and talk to them in person and walk around the property to try to help them figure it out.
So you're saying it could be up to 3, 4, 5 times somebody is back out if.
10 to 20 man hours at least,
Okay.
just to get one nail down.
And that would be eliminated with the cellular meter.
Right. Because I don't have to go back and forth and I have it right there. I can pull it right up and talk to them on the phone.
So we're not just talking, I'm just putting this out here. We have, if we go for this, to have an opt-out is an initial cost, then a monthly fee. And then do we have a fee for repair also?
We have in our fee schedule
It's already
currently,
there, yes.
it's a reread.
Remind me of that, thank you.
It is currently $25. It's already in there. I've waived it for everybody. We have over 120, 130 leaks that we're, just trying to plug on. So I'd rather get those fixed. But we would have to definitely reinstitute that, where every time we go out to your property to read that meter, it would be another $25 or whatever we decide that the real cost is.
Okay. Marnie has a question.
Thank you. Virginia or Guthrie, would we do a DMAIC to find out what the true cost of these fees would need to be?
That's how I approach everything. Unfortunately, I do a very simplistic DMAIC. I take our service orders. There was a time when we started Manager Plus that I had everybody recording every single hour that they spent every day so that I could kind of see what our workloads were. It takes us about a half hour to an hour for an operator to go out there, and it takes us in admin about a half hour to an hour to read the data and call a customer. And then that customer call is just very, very dependent. Some are very accepting of, oh, yep, let me go get it. Others, we have to walk through. So that could be a half-hour phone call. It could be a 3-hour phone call sometimes.
I think if we do it, the $15 a month is low. I think it should be higher. And look at the effort of doing repairs and really outline what that is. This is a hard one. I mean, everybody talk. What's your opinion? Lisa?
Well, I think I agree with you that it's easier to, it's hard to raise fees. So I think you make the fees realistic in the first place. Second, we don't want people to opt out because it's inconvenient and we're doing this because there's an issue. So making opting out, I'm not saying make it unattractive, but make it realistic.
Yeah.
I think we should have an opt-out because it's just not worth the tinfoil hat fight that you're gonna have otherwise. So that's my opinion.
Marnie, you have a question or a comment?
Thank you. So, we have done this because it makes sense. We went out, we got a grant. We are being recognized around the state because this is innovative and it is a great way to make sure that we can save water. So I'm in full support of it. But the fact that we already have people who are concerned, who want to opt out, I think we need to give them the opportunity to do so. But I agree with Lisa, we have to cover our costs. And so I want to know exactly how much this could cost so that we are not losing money on something that is supposed to save us money and save us water.
Laura?
I agree. I mean, I think that it's a wonderful use of technology for our aging infrastructure in particular. I think it's a wonderful reappointment of time for our staff to be doing more higher quality, more, I know there's enough work for them to keep doing it. And if we want to give people an opt-out, I think it would be great to be able to, as we're deploying, to be able to say to people, you're set to get a new meter. Are you interested in opting out? Here's what it means to opt out. So people know that, and that would save time. So you're not putting a meter, changing an antenna and going back and changing another antenna. So that just may be a piece of it that I think is important. And I support what Lisa said about the fees for this has to be realistic. I mean, we have spent the last year looking at fees across the town and trying to make them realistic for what the actual expenses related to the activity. So I think that that's a very important and valid thing to do. I'm going to say, assume you said you're working with 100 and some odd people who have leaks, and those are the first people that are getting the new meters. Yeah. Yeah.
So right now, as you know, we're in the middle of a process for rate adjustments. So our desire is to let that process play out because I think it's the second meeting in January where that process will finalize. So what we would probably do is in the meeting after that, which would be the first meeting in February, we'd come back to you with that, the notice to proceed with adjusting those rates and also present to you some more in-depth analysis of what we think each of those rates should be. And then there will be the 60-day time window before it's implemented. And that works well. We have some of these that are in stock and we've been, doing this process, but the bulk of them, the WIFA grant, we just signed the grant documents this week. So I think that'll, from a timing standpoint, probably work well for us if that's acceptable to you all.
I would just say, and I've said it before, in my personal situation, when this technology first became available over 2 years ago, at our house, we went with, at that point, it was the only company that had come out with that innovation. So they're now a competing company to what we're putting in town. And it has been a lifesaver. Literally, I mean, this weekend, my husband had to dig a 2 foot by 2 foot by 3 foot hole, getting down to just a minuscule lake that was just making him crazy, but he found it. And he wouldn't have known about it. It probably wouldn't have impacted the bill that much, but the fact that he could see that something is leaking when everything's off, it's just, and there were some big leaks too that we've had in this 2-year time frame. that we just have visibility to so that we can get that stuff repaired and it's not just leaching away or causing a problem in the foundation or, you know, just with the sprinkler system, whatever. It's just great technology. And the fact that now there's a competing company that, you know, we can do this widespread. I remember when he first installed it, he talked to the public works director at that time and said, this is great technology. We need to have this because it would save so much on leaks. And I still firmly believe that. I'm still in full support that the whole water system should have this technology because of the resource savings that it offers and the cost savings and the water savings and just the whole list of stuff. If somebody needs to opt out for their reasons, they have their reasons, but we also need to recoup those costs. And it does need to be significant because it is a significant resource drain to have to go in and tend to these exceptions. So that's how I feel about it.
I mean, I agree with all of you on what you said. Definitely recovering costs, to make sure all of that is we're covering those expenses. It would be interesting though if there's misinformation about what cellular water meters are and why we're getting, even just for the couple, they're pushed back because they are not like a smart electric meter. So it's a very different technology. But if we get it, we get it. I think we do a really good education program. I think part of that is saying, look at how well we've done over the years and we can do even better on our water loss ratio. We're down to what, between, you said today,
Between 8 and 12%.
8 and 12%. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we got down to like 5%? That would be fabulous because we're finding the leaks fast. And then we're only having to maybe deal with the big leaks that we know are going to occur. So I think we do a really strong education campaign saying why we're doing this. And if you want to opt out, these are your costs for doing it. Just like Laura said, and put it right up front.
I honestly believe that maybe some people are misinformed or are scared of technology that maybe they don't know or understand. I think that there's a fear that we're going to be able to, from the keyboard, just shut somebody's water off or
Yes.
shut off a whole section. And that's just not available. And
I think we need to say that that's not the kind of meter we're putting in. And we've said it a little bit, but if we put it out there, just like you said, I think that might ally a couple of people. It's hard to say. Is there, Marnie, any last comments you'd like to give?
No, thank you.
Do you have enough direction?
I do. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much for the presentation and bringing this forward. Both of your comments are much appreciated. Item 7B, Bitter Creek Bridge Design. Lou Anderson, Public Works Director. Yay! Woo-hoo! We get to spend money.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This agenda item is the Bitter Creek Bridge replacement and design, the design for the bridge replacement. This is an additional services agreement with Ardura, and we do have a couple of representatives with Ardura with us today. Mark Woodson's on the phone, I see, and Art Beckwith is in the audience with us. So they both are working with us. As you know, that is our town engineer, Mark Woodson, currently.
Right.
The town of Clarkdale was awarded $6.3 million, as you know, legislative appropriation to replace the obsolete and outdated 100-year-old bridge. The scope of this project will include planning, site survey, alternative alignment review, preliminary design, right-of-way identification, geotechnical, and environmental study, utility and stormwater evaluations. They'll also coordinate with the Army Corps of Engineers on our 404 permit for that crossing of the wash and encroachment, as well as the encroachment with SHPO of the existing historical bridge. So with all of that, we received a budget. Well, we have a budget CIP T03 to reconstruct this bridge at $6.321 million. So $6,321,000, that's our budget. This staff recommend that the council authorize the town manager sign all documents necessary to execute this proposal from Adura for design and engineering. And it would not to exceed the proposal amount of $1.4022, $1,402,500.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Susan.
I just want to clarify, because we all know this, but in case somebody else is watching, I just want to make sure everyone knows that we use the word replacement, but we're keeping the existing bridge. It'll just be repurposed for pedestrian and bicycle traffic. So it does not go away. This is just, I call it a secondary bridge that would be for vehicular traffic.
Thank you for putting that in. That's an important point. Comments on this agreement? Marnie?
That is a lot of money, but I think it's what we need to do to get the bridge built. And that is really important to ensuring that part of our community are safe in the event of the bridge going out.
Any other comments? We're ready. We've been working on this for well over a year, 2 years, not 20 years. Well, earnestly, what we decided we were going to do it the last probably 3 years, 3 to 4 years. So it's time. We need good access down there, reliable access. Not that the one lane bridge is going to fall down. It's not. It's just hard to get people in and out when you can only do it one way at a time. And that's, to me, a safety issue and the issue of those properties down there being able to expand and grow as they want to do that in an area that's appropriate. So I'm ready for this. Thank you, Adura, for getting on this right away. Mark, is there anything you need to add?
No, thank you. I'm listening. If there's any specific questions, like Lou said, either Art or I could answer those.
I don't think there's any specific questions on the document, so.
I think it's also important to note that this amount, although it is large, is budgeted within the grant that was awarded to the town.
Correct. Right, good point. Anything else? If not, I'll take a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the additional services agreement with Ardura Group, Inc. for the design and engineering of Bitter Creek Bridge, not to exceed the proposal amount of $1,402,500, and authorize the town manager to execute all documents necessary.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember O'Neill and seconded by Vice Mayor Hunstetter to approve the additional services agreement with Ardura Group Incorporated for the design and engineering of the Bitter Creek Bridge, not to exceed the proposal amount of $1,402,500, and authorize the town manager to execute all documents necessary. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Marty. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yay, we're going to have a bridge here someday. Let's move on to future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items that you want? We have a list that's put together by our town clerk, Charity Brooks. As you know, we're not going to meet again until January 9th, so that we all get a little respite and have some fun with our family and friends for the holiday season. So it looks like we have a pretty full agenda, most likely in January, anything from the audit presentation, Trails Master Plan, and I've seen it. How many pages is it? It's big. It's big. The Broadway road overlay, and ADOT-IJ for the Clarkdale Parkway Sidewalk and Bike Link project. That is the design part of it.
Yes.
So those are the items we'll see in January and any others that come up between now and then. So if I'm not hearing anything, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those, Vice Mayor Hunsetter and, Councilmember Jones, move to adjourn, at 7:19 PM. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you so much, all of you, and thank you all for coming tonight.
Night, Marnie.
Good night, Marnie.
Good night, Marnie.
Hey, Sean boy.
I know.